A query is a question represented in a way that the database management system understands. In this video and in Chapter 4, the focus is single table queries. That means we will only ask questions that can be found from one table at a time in this chapter. When forming simple queries, you use three keywords: select, from, where. Learn these three keywords as you will use them for every query you write. The select statement is always required and is used to list or reference all columns you want to display. You separate the columns by commas. The from statement is always required and is used to name the table you need to access to retrieve the items requested in the select statement. When we add more than one table in Chapter 5, you will separate the table names with commas. The where statement is optional and is only used when you need to specify conditions or criteria. When you have more than one criteria, you use a compound condition such as and. To execute every query, you need to complete your query by adding a semicolon. This tells the computer to execute your command and ask the question about the database you have active. Your textbook refers to the exercises for Premier databases. Your homework refers to exercises for the Henry database. I will work through the Alexamara database for examples in this video to assist you with journal entries. I recommend you practice with all three databases before taking the exam at the end of the week. The more practice you have, the more comfortable you will become with writing queries. For our first example in this video, let's take a look at the syntax for retrieving data from all columns and all rows. As you can see, the basic syntax uses the select from keywords mentioned previously. You use an asterisk to indicate all columns and all rows in the select clause. This command will list all columns and all rows in the order used when the table was created. The from keyword will tell the computer which table to get the information from. The where keyword is not needed because we want to see all data in the specified table and not specific columns and rows based on criteria. Let's look at a sample question from the Alexamara database. All examples in this video will be from the Alexamara database, so be sure to have your table handout ready. You should also launch your mini server and activate the Alexamara database to practice with the commands. When I see a question such as this one, the first thing I do is read the question and determine the columns, tables, and criteria needed. For the purpose of examples in this video, I have chosen the color yellow to indicate columns I need to list in my output that go into the select statement. I use orange to highlight any clues about which table to use for the from statement. It is not always obvious which table to use, as you usually have to refer to the table, the columns, and criteria needed or from. If there was criteria needed, I would indicate that in green so I would know to include a where statement. To summarize, before writing the query for our question, highlight select information in yellow, from information in orange, and where information in green. Let's look at our question and write the query. I see that I want all rows and all columns, so I can use the asterisk in the select statement to indicate this. I also see that I need to get my information from the Marina table, which I highlighted in orange. This gives me the query, select asterisk from Marina, semicolon, as you see here. Don't forget to add the semicolon on the end to execute the query. This is something that I see missed quite a bit. Run this in your mini server to see the results. Let's move on to the next example. In this example, we will retrieve data from specific columns with no criteria. Let's look at the syntax for this. Select column names separated by commas from table name, semicolon. The where statement is not needed here because we do not have criteria. Now for a sample question. I see quickly that the owner, number, last name, and first name are my needed column names, so I highlight them in yellow. Then I recognize that the owner is a table name, and I check my tables to see if the columns needed are in this table, and they are, so I highlight Marina in orange. And I'm ready to write my query since the question does not require any criteria. My query becomes select owner num, comma, last name, comma, first name from owner, semicolon, as you see here. Try this in your mini server to see what results you get. Now for the next topic, comparison operators. Before I can answer questions that ask for specific criteria, I first have to take a look at comparison operators. Comparison operators are listed in figure 4.4 of your textbook. I recommend you include these in your journals so you can refer to them when needed. Now let's look at an example with one criteria. The syntax for retrieving data with one criteria is select column names separated by commas from table name where criteria, semicolon. Notice that we now have to use a where clause because we are looking for specific criteria. Let's look at an example. The last name and the first name are our needed columns. The owner is the table and the criteria we need is Balton. Let's write the query. Select last name, comma, first name from owner where city equals Balton. Notice that Balton is included in single quotes, and when you have items in single quotes, that means you're looking for a string, and also capitalization does matter here, so be careful of that. Remember when you're writing your select from where items, capitalization, and it is not case sensitive, but anything inside single quotes that is a string is case sensitive. So since the cities all start with a capital B, you must have a capital B in this case. So on to an example with more than one criteria, which requires the use of compound conditions. Compound conditions connect two or more simple conditions with and or not operators. The and operator means all simple conditions are true. The or operator means any simple condition is true. And the not operator reverses the truth of the original condition. Let's look at an example. The syntax for retrieving data with more than one criteria is select column names separated by commas from table name where criteria and criteria, semicolon. Notice the use of the compound condition and. Let's apply this to a question. List the slip number for every boat with the type Dolphin 28 that is located in Marina 1. The column we need is the slip number. The criteria is a boat type of Dolphin 28 and a location of Marina 1, meaning we need two different criteria there. Our query becomes select slip number from Marina Slip where boat type equals Dolphin 28 and Marina number equals 1. And don't forget the semicolon at the end. Now let's learn about the between operator. The between operator is often used instead of the and operator. You can use it when searching for a range of values. The syntax for the between operator is select column name separated by commas from table name where column name, between criteria 1 and criteria 2, and then a semicolon. Notice the key word between is used in the where clause. Let's apply this to a question. We want all lengths between 25 and 30. It is easier in this case to use the between operator because using the and operator would require that we search for values greater than or equal to 25 and less than or equal to 30. Let's see what the query looks like using the between operator. Select boat name from Marina Slip where length between 25 and 30, semicolon. Next, we will talk about computed columns. A computed column does and should not exist in the database. In a query, it is computed using data in existing columns and becomes a column in the query itself. Arithmetic operators used for computed columns are plus for addition, minus for subtraction, asterisk for multiplication, and / for division. Note, computed columns are formed and executed in the select statement. The syntax for computed column is select column names separated by commas, calculation at the keyword as, calculation column name, keyword from, table name, keyword where, and then criteria, and then a semicolon. Notice the calculation in the select statement and the keyword as afterwards to name the new column. If the column is not named, the new column heading is the calculation written out. Let's look at a question. Labor is billed at a rate of $60 per hour. List the slip ID, category number, estimated hours, and estimated labor costs for every service request. To obtain the estimated labor cost, multiply the estimated hours by 60. Use the column name estimated cost for the new column. I've highlighted the calculation information in yellow since it goes in the select statement. Let's form the query. Select slip ID, comma, category number, comma, estimated hours, comma, 60 times estimated hours, that's my calculation, keyword as to start naming my column. I'm going to name that new column estimated cost, and then from service request, because that's the table. I don't have any criteria, so I end with a semicolon. Now on to an operator for looking for specific information in text. The like operator is used for pattern matching in text. The percent symbol represents all data after or before the percent sign. An underscore represents any character. You can use a space as a character to represent a word you are searching for, like the. There is a space before and after the word to indicate to look for spaces and not other letters. Let's look at an example. The syntax is select column name separated by commas, from table name, where column name, like criteria, and then a semicolon. And for our question, we have list the service ID and description of all service requests whose description includes the word oil. So for our query, you will notice that we have select service ID, description from service request, where description is like oil, pay special attention that there's a space before oil and after oil, so I'm only looking for the word oil. Okay, so that is it for this part 1 of the video. Make sure you watch part 2 as well for the remaining items in the chapter. Thanks for watching.